The sound of rain echoed softly against the window pane, tapping like the quiet reminder of something forgotten. In the dim light of his small, cluttered apartment, Ayan sat slouched on the edge of his bed, a cigarette burning slowly between his trembling fingers. The air smelled of smoke and silence. His eyes, red and weary, stared at the reflection of a man he no longer recognized in the cracked mirror across the room. Once, he used to smile without pretending. Once his heart had felt light. But that was before everything broke, before he chose the path that led him away from Allah. Tonight, something was different. The silence wasn't empty. It was heavy. It felt as if the universe was holding its breath, waiting for him to notice something. He exhaled a cloud of smoke and whispered to himself, "What have I become?" The words trembled in the air, fragile, honest, painful. The rain fell harder, as though the heavens were weeping too. He reached for his phone, scrolling through old photos, friends laughing, memories of nights filled with noise, music, sins he once called freedom. But none of it made him smile anymore. His heart was dry, empty. There was a time he used to wake up before dawn and pray Fajr beside his mother. He could still remember her soft voice saying, "Beta, never let your heart sleep longer than your soul." That was before she died. The day she left, something inside him went dark. He had promised himself he wouldn't cry again, but when he saw her picture smiling, gentle, her hijab perfectly folded, his chest tightened. "I'm sorry, Amy," he whispered, tears falling without permission. "You raised me to remember Allah, but look at me." The call to prayer echoed faintly from a distant masjid, cutting through the sound of the rain. "Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. ... The words pierced him. They didn't just call the believers, they called the broken. They called him. But he sat frozen, cigarette half burnt, tears wetting his shirt. The adhan ended, and with it, the silence returned, only louder this time. He felt something deep inside whisper, "Get up." He didn't move. He couldn't. His guilt was too heavy. He had drunk, lied, hurt people, and lived years in heedlessness. He told himself he was too far gone, that Allah wouldn't forgive someone like him. But then, almost involuntarily, he whispered, "Ya Allah." His voice cracked. "If you're still listening, please bring me back. I don't know how to live like this anymore." That night, for the first time in years, he didn't sleep. He sat in the darkness, feeling every ounce of regret sink into his bones. The next morning, when sunlight filtered through the curtains, he looked at his reflection again. Something had changed, not on his face, but in his eyes. There was a flicker of something, hope. He stood up slowly, opened his window, and let the cool morning air wash over him. The world felt different, or maybe he did. He threw away the pack of cigarettes and whispered, one step at a time. Days turned into weeks. He started praying again, awkwardly at first, forgetting verses, struggling with tears he couldn't explain. But each sajda broke another layer of hardness around his heart. He began visiting the masjid near his house, walking there quietly, avoiding people's eyes, afraid of judgment. One evening, an old man with a white beard stopped him after prayer. "Son," the man said softly, "you've been gone a long time, haven't you?" Ayan froze. How do you know?" The old man smiled gently, "Because I was gone too. But Allah never forgets his lost ones." Those words hit him like thunder. That night, he couldn't stop thinking about them. Allah never forgets his lost ones. He began reading the Qur'an, not just with his eyes, but with his heart. Every verse felt like it was written for him, for the broken, the ashamed, the ones who thought they were too far gone. One verse stopped him completely. "Say, O my servants who have transgressed against themselves, do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins." He read it again and again until tears blurred the words. That verse wasn't a message, it was a rescue. Slowly, his world started to change. He stopped going to the places that pulled him back into darkness. He deleted numbers that led him away from peace. But the hardest battle was inside. His mind still whispered, "You're pretending. You're still the same sinner." Every time those thoughts came, he'd whisper, "Ya Allah, I'm trying." And somehow, every time Allah sent him ease, sometimes in the form of a stranger's kind word, sometimes in the peace of sujud, sometimes in the quiet of dawn when his heart finally felt at home. One day he visited his mother's grave for the first time in years. The sky was overcast, the air heavy with the scent of wet soil. He placed a small bouquet of white lily beside her tombstone and sat quietly. "Ammi," he whispered, I think Allah brought me back." His voice trembled, but his heart felt calm. "You told me once that Allah never leaves the one who calls him sincerely. You were right." He sat there for hours, the wind brushing against his face, the world silent except for the sound of his sobs. They weren't tears of pain anymore, they were tears of release. As months passed, Ayan began volunteering at the masjid. He helped clean, distribute food, and quietly listened to people's stories. Many came to him for advice, not knowing that he too was once lost. He didn't preach. He just listened, and when he spoke, his words carried the weight of experience. "No matter how far you've gone," he'd tell them softly, "you can always come back. Allah's door never closes. It's us who walk away." One night, after Isha, he sat on the masjid steps, watching the stars. The same rain began to fall again, soft and rhythmic. He smiled. "Ya Allah," he whispered, "thank you for not giving up on me when I gave up on myself." A young man approached him, looking broken, eyes filled with guilt, the same look Ayan once had. "Brother," the man said, "I think I've gone too far for Allah to forgive me." Ayan smiled gently, placing his hand on the young man's shoulder. "Then you're exactly where I was when he brought me back." The man looked confused. "What do you mean?" Ayan looked at the sky, his voice trembling with sincerity. "When you're lost, and you still find yourself thinking about Allah, that's not guilt. That's Allah calling you back." Silence lingered between them, heavy but healing. The young man began to cry, and Ayan pulled him into a hug, whispering, "Don't fight it. Let him bring you back." That night, Ayan walked home under the rain, his heart finally at peace. He realized something profound. Repentance wasn't about being perfect. It was about returning again and again, no matter how many times you fall. Allah's mercy wasn't for the pure, it was for the ones who kept trying. Years passed, and Ayan became known in his community not as the sinner he once was, but as a man whose heart reflected light. Yet, he never saw himself as righteous. He still cried in sujud, still whispered, "Ya Allah, keep me close," because he knew how easy it was to be lost and how miraculous it was to be found. One night, as he sat by his window, the rain falling softly again, he smiled and whispered, "You really did bring me back." And somewhere in the quiet of the night, it felt as though his heart heard a whisper in return, "And I never stopped waiting for you." If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Rehi Hidayat to hear more stories that bring you closer to Allah.